All right, admit. Okay, here we go. So welcome. We're in the right place. Welcome to Introduction to Social and Emotional Intelligence Profile. On today is Thursday, right? Everybody know that? So that's good. Now the international, let me give you a little bit of background about the International Institute for Social and Emotional Intelligence. This organization is world renowned, and they talk about social and emotional intelligence profile is used in thousands of organizations, and coaches use this, and it's global. It's global. And based on a recent research, models of social and emotional intelligence and the ones in use by over 75% of Fortune 500 companies. So 75% of Fortune 500 companies use this tool. And I want you to remember all the time, it's a tool. This is a tool. Keep that in mind all the time. And coaches all over the world are using this tool to coach their people and mentor their people. What I'd like for you to do right now is get a blank piece of paper, or if you have a notepad, I hope you do, and write down on the top of that page, great ideas. And as we spend the next minutes and share, you might hear something you think, wow, that's a great idea. I need to start doing that. Write it down. And if you write down one thing, you made my day. Okay? Feel free to stop me at any time and ask any questions. All right? Why it's not advancing? This happens all the time. It's not advancing. Okay. Our agenda for today, welcome. Most of us have introduced ourselves. We told most of you know me. I don't think I need an introduction. And if you want to know more about me, go to my website. We don't have a lot of time here. Today is not about me. Today is about social and emotional intelligence. We'll give you a little definition of what social and emotional intelligence is all about. We'll share a little bit about what IQ versus EQ. And then we will review the 4-quadrant model, the tool that I'm going to introduce you today. We'll share a little bit about why this is good for business and why it's also good for personal health and wellness case. Then we'll take some Q&A, get some feedback and closing remarks, okay? Now, social and emotional intelligence, it was not until 1995 that social and emotional intelligence came out of academia and exposed to the general public by a guy named Daniel Goldman. He wrote this book, Social and Emotional Intelligence. And then there was a young lady named Nancy Gibb who writes for the Time magazine, and she wrote an article. And actually, her article on social and emotional intelligence, on EQ, got more exposure than Daniel Goldman's book. And you know, when you see a emotional intelligence for a book for dummies, you know it's hit rank and file, right? That was meant to be funny. So Daniel Goldman's book, if you are an avid reader, I recommend that you can get this book and to get more inside information about emotional intelligence. And this was written in 1995. So which is more important, EQ or IQ? And in the chat, I'd like for you to answer that question for me. Which is more important, EQ or IQ? Matt, EQ, CZ, EQ, both. Okay, Jenny, I see that. Which do you think is more important, IQ or EQ? Amy, EQ. EQ. Okay, John, EQ. Well, it looked like EQ is the popular answer. Well, actually, it's a combination. IQ plus EQ equals success. When people think about it, all of us in this room, I think all of us are over 20, right? Over 20. I'm 71. And when you think about it, the average person spend, how many years does the average person spend in an educational institute? What do you think? In the chat, tell me how many, what's the average amount of years people spend in educational institute? About 20, right? About an average of 20 years. And what's the focus of the education? Academia. You know, and they give us exams and they measure our success based on our grade. And then we come into the world and we have to deal with people.
Hello.
And we struggle.
Oh, yeah.
And we.
No, I got the wrong number.
Hey, Hartley, would you mute yourself, please? Yeah, and we get into the world. We get into the world and we have to deal with people. How much people skills did you learn in school or in college? I asked a lot of pastors, when you went to seminary, what percentage of the curriculum had to do with leadership? And so far, I get the same answer, 0. 0. And what do they do all the time? They deal with people. You go to medical school, you become a doctor, you have to take care of people. So you even go to trade school, you learn to repair cars, but that car has an owner. You're in sales, you're selling to people. So is people skills important or not? What do you think in the chat? People skills is important or not? Yes, very. Thank you. Thank you. And, you know, unfortunately, our people skills are developed, you know, by accident, we learn from other people, and God bless us if we have a good mentor or a good coach in our lives. So what happens when you have EQ with no IQ? Sorry, IQ with no EQ. What happens? What are the results of that? And you can share verbally. Let me change the view. You can share verbally. What happens?
I would think it would be more like a high-functioning autistic person on the far end of the spectrum, perhaps.
Yeah.
Very, very smart, but very unable to relate. Or if you watch Big Bang Theory and whoever that tall guy is. On the
right.
Big Bang.
Thank you, Jenny. Any other thoughts? What would happen?
Yeah, it's unable to relate well.
Unable to relate. Yeah.
You have a dysfunctional office that way too.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of people like that. You know everybody know. Genevieve, you want to say something? Or Hartley?
Yeah. I think that we will lose communication with each other. Conversations will be very limited and restricted, and disenchantment will set in.
Yeah. What do you think the morale in that business or that organization would be like?
Low morale.
Very low. You know, everybody knows Lee Iacocca, right? He was the CEO and president of Chrysler. When he was running Chrysler, they did okay. They sold cars, but his office was in the penthouse. And to get to see Lee Iacocca, you had to make an appointment with his administrative officer. Then when he retired, they brought a guy from Italy named Sergio. I can't pronounce his last name. Sergio. The first thing Sergio did was moved his office from the penthouse to the ground floor. And look at Chrysler today, since then. You know, interaction with people, people who get things done. People who get things done. Matt will tell you, he is in sales. You can create the greatest tool, the greatest product. Amy, I know, is in sales also. But who sells the product? If a salesperson doesn't sell it, nothing is added to the bottom line. Nobody benefits. People skills. So would you agree that people skills are very important?
Because we can only get things done through people.
That's what we've been saying, yes. So Theodore Roosevelt said, people don't care how much you know, how high your IQ is, until they know how much you care. Until they know how much you care. And then Warren Bennis in his book on becoming a leader says, emotional intelligence is much more powerful than IQ in determining who emerges as a leader. IQ is a threshold competence. You need it, but it doesn't make you a star. Emotional intelligence can. And who would you prefer to follow or to work with? An autocratic, my way or the highway leader, or a charismatic, engaging leader?
Charismatic, engaging.
Thank you. Thank you. So what is this emotional intelligence? What is this we're talking about? And here is the definition. Jenny, would you read that for me, please?
Sir, social and emotional intelligence is the ability to be aware of our own emotions and those of others in the moment, and to use that information to manage ourselves and manage our relationships.
And I put in all caps, in the moment. That's the key, right there, in the moment. How many times have we said or done something that we regret because we didn't hit the pause button? I'm guilty. But I'm learning, as I learn more and more, it's less and less of those things. I can't believe I said that, or I can't believe I did that. What was I thinking? Kind of deal. You know, I'm thinking a little more now that I'm exposed to this. So this is a picture of you, of most people. We are all made up of genetics. You know, our genetics are what we inherit more or less from our parents. You know, how many times people say, oh, you're just like your mom, or you're just like your dad, or you're like your grandpa. You know, those genetics, like we all different. You know, when I was growing up, my sisters were much fairer than me. They were as fair as Amy, and I was as dark as I am today. You know, they used to call me Blackie when I was a kid. But that's me. I can't change that. We can't change our genetics. I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. I'll always be from Trinidad and Tobago. I will always be a Trini. You know, that's our genetics, who we are. We can't change that. Our personality, the psychologist tells us, is developed from conception to around age 7. And those of us who have kids, you know, think about it. You have more than one kid, they're different. They have different personalities. I'm one of 7, and we are all different. We have different personalities developed in, you know, from age 0 to 7. And then behavior, how we behave. Our behavior is influenced by the environment that we grew up in, or the environment that we're living in, our behavior, and also by our personality. So the environment, you know, some people say, oh, I'm a country boy at heart. I grew up in the country. I'll always be a country boy at heart. I'm an island person, kind of deal. You know, and if you look at a big country like United States, my first visit to the United States was Indiana. And Indiana is known as the Hoosier state. And I'm really glad that that was the first place I went to in the United States, because the people were so friendly, so accommodating, you know, the farm country, the Midwest. But then the first state I lived in was Miami, in Florida. And it was so paranoid in that place. Busy, everybody, nobody have time for anybody else. And then I got promoted, relocated to Texas, and it was so different. People were waving at you, strangers were waving at you, they were letting you come in on the highway kind of deal. My neighbor used to cut my lawn. So the environment that we grow up in and where we exist influence our behavior. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Thank you. So then 80% of our behavior is impacted by our emotions, by our feelings, how we feel. How many times have you been in a situation and it just didn't feel right? And you didn't, that's the body giving you signals. And that's what emotional intelligence is all about. Emotional signals and how we respond. When we ignore the signals, we get in trouble, or we get hurt, or we hurt somebody else. When we recognize the signals, it's like driving down the road in a strange place. You go on a road trip in a strange place. You have your GPS, it will tell you when to turn and how many more miles to go and the ETA and all estimated time of arrival, but it doesn't tell you sharp curve ahead. It does not tell you steep incline ahead. It does not tell you traffic lights ahead or school zone, so you know to slow down or to speed up, or it doesn't give you those signals. This tool that I'm going to share with you today is like having traffic signals for your life. 80% of our behavior is impacted by our emotions. I mean, we've all heard the terms of, he's an extrovert, and I've been accused of being that, an extrovert. Introvert, sorry. I've never been accused of being an introvert, but an introvert, somebody tell us what's your interpretation of an introvert?
Person who withdraws from everything around them and deals only with themselves.
Quiet, reserved, hardly speaks, kind of thing, doesn't show up. And then you have the extrovert. Did somebody else tell us about what's an extrovert? Hey, Matt, tell me what's an extrovert. Matt?
Hi, I would say an extrovert is, the easiest is just an opposite of an introvert. That's the person who's looking to engage others, who's looking to talk, who's looking to find out what's happening, and they're going to walk up to you and try to meet, and find out about you, right? They're gonna come after you.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. But have you ever heard this term, ambivert? An ambivert is a combination of an introvert and an extrovert. There are times when we need to be like an introvert. And there are times when we need to be like an extrovert. That's the ambivert, to know when. When to fight for something, or when to fight against something, when to flight, when to walk away, and when to freeze. We don't have to say something about everything. We got to know. So that's an ambivert. And I have an article about an ambivert. If you would like it, to get a copy, just send me an email. You all have my email. Just send me an email. Hey, Lincoln, send me the article on ambivert. Oh, by the way, I also have that article by the Time Magazine lady, Nancy Gibbs. If you like a copy, just send me an email and say, send me the Time Magazine, or just say, send me both, and I'll send it to you. Okay? I don't like to dump on people. So just let me know what you would like. Those two articles. Let me see if anybody is. Okay. Jenny, good. All right. So the idea is learn to be an ambivert. There are times when we need to be introvert, quiet time kind of deal. There are times when we need to be an extrovert. We just got to know what's the right time. So the tool I'm talking about is divided into four quadrants. Social and emotional, intelligence, 4-quadrant model. First, in the top quadrant here is self-awareness. Self-awareness leads to self-management. Others or social awareness leads to relationship management. So what does it all mean? Let's see what it all means. First, self-awareness. Self-awareness has to do with emotional self-awareness, knowing your triggers. What make you happy? What make you sad? What make you angry? What get you excited? You know, knowing your triggers. Because when you don't know your triggers, you're not going to be able to respond in a positive, constructive way. So knowing your triggers and accurate self-assessment. This has to do with knowing what your limitations are, knowing what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, and personal power. Personal power has nothing to do with physical strength. Personal power has to do with a strong sense of your self-worth and your self-worth and capabilities and confidence, personal power. So those are the three self-awareness components. And if you decide to get this done for you, you will know, you will get, for each component, the tool will tell you, people who are strong in this component, this is how they behave. People who are weak in this component, this is how they behave, and development tips for everyone. It's a great tool. So first, you see these three kids here? The Marshmallow Project is called. Some psychologists, they took 3 4-year-olds, a group of 4-year-olds, and they put them in a room and they gave each one of them a marshmallow. And then they said, okay, the adult is going to leave the room for 15 minutes and come back. Those of you who wait and don't eat that one marshmallow, you're going to get 2 more. Guess what? Look at these 3 kids. You know, look at their faces. Which one is smelling it? Which one? I don't want to look at this thing, kind of teeth. Well, they followed these kids 20, 30, 40 years later, and they found out that those who waited did so much better in life. They were more, they got higher grades in school. In fact, their SAT tests were like 212 points higher than those who did not wait. They were making more money. It's about managing your behavior, self-management.
Yeah.
Self-management is what it's all about. So what is self-management all about? Behavioral self-control. How many times have you lost it? I have lost it. It's just that it's losing, you know. I had a friend who we used to call him a short fuse. Every little thing sets him off because he didn't have enough self-control. Then you have integrity. You know, I've never met a human being who said to me, Lincoln, I don't have any integrity. I've met a lot of people who claim to have integrity, but they need to go back and learn the meaning of integrity. In your great idea sheet, you might want to write this down. A simple definition of integrity. Say, S-A-Y, do, D-O-C-O, say, do, co. And I learned this from a guy named Alan Fine in his book, You Already Know How to Be Great. Say the quote, say what you're going to do what you said you were going to do, and communicate when you can't. Things happen. Sometimes we all have good intentions, unless you're a criminal. We all have good intentions, but sometimes things happen. But don't just leave people hanging, let them know. Hey, I promise I'll be there, but this came up, I can't. Integrity in the moment when nobody else is looking. Integrity. Innovation and creativity. What a time for us to be innovative and creative. What a time for us to be innovative and creative. Looking for new ideas. You know, if you always do what you've always done. Somebody finish that statement for me. I know somebody noticed.
You always get what you got.
What you always got. Yeah. You always innovate. I mean, look at what isn't this so innovative and creative that Matt is in Dallas, Texas, you know, Hartley is in Barbados, and some people from Trinidad and Tobago, my neighbor next door, Amy is in St. Louis, and we all in the same room and we can see each other, we can smile, we can talk to each other, and we can share innovation and creativity. You know, Shakespeare said, sweet are the uses of adversity. So we need to be Too many people are settling. One of the worst statements somebody could make to me or really get me upset is, it is what it is. No, you're a human being. It's not, it is what it is. It is what you make it out to be. Take control. Innovation, be innovative and creative. And then initiative and bias for action. These are the people who don't have to be told. They see something that needs to be done, they do it. It does not even have to be their job description. The worst thing somebody can say in any organization, in any family is, that's not my job. I don't do dishes. I don't, initiative and bias for action. You see something that needs to be done, do it. And then achievement drive. People who are high in achievement, they want to assist. They don't settle for okay. They're always striving for excellence. Have you heard of the Kaizen mentality? Kaizen is a Japanese word for continuous improvement, K-A-I-Z-E-N, continuous improvement. My father, was not a rich guy. I grew up very humble, very poor, but he gave me a bullet once, I'll never forget. And he said to me, son, stagnant water soon loses its purity and in cold weather becomes frozen. So too inactivity saps the vigor of the mind. Growth is a continuous process, never settle for okay. My mother told me, this is even better, and I'm going to tell you exactly how she told me. Son, aim for the skies. If you aim for the skies and you miss, you're going to fall on the clouds, and that's a soft, fluffy landing. You're not going to get hurt. If you aim for the clouds and you miss, you're going to fall on the mountaintops and you're going to get bruised up. You might even get a couple of broken bones. If you aim for just the mountaintops, I'm sorry to tell you, son, you're going to fall on the ground. You're going to die. They're going to scrape you off the ground. Since then, I've always aimed for the skies. I've always aimed for the skies. Never stop. Achievement drive. Never settle for okay. Realistic optimism. Expect positive things to happen and positive things will happen. Life is not going to disappoint you. We get what we expect from life. And when setbacks come, people who are realistic, they don't see it as a blockade. They see that I like to tell people, be like a river. A river never stops flowing. It's coming down the mountainside. It's a bowl, they find a way to go around or over or under. Sometimes it might even disappear, but it pops up again. Realistic optimism. And then resilience, don't give up. Too many people give up too early. That's one of the reasons why the divorce rate is so high in the world today. I'm all here. This is not working. Instead of let's see how this can work. Be resilient. Stress management. Anybody have no stress in their life right now? Anybody want some more? Stress is there, but it's how we manage it. And this tool will give you some development tips. And the medical field is telling us that proven stress, unmanaged stress, is accountable for a lot of the diseases in the world today. So stress management. Then personal agility. Personal agility have nothing to do with athletics, okay? Not all of us are, maybe that's not part of our genetic makeup. But personal agility has to do with how we manage change, how we respond to change, how we start change, ready and willing. We are living in a changing world. A lot of people don't realize that, and how we adjust to the change is what, I got an invitation from UPS a couple of years ago to come and talk to 300 of their HR people from all over the world. And the topic they gave me was coping with change. So I said to the VP, I said, Terry, can I change that topic a little bit? She said, what do you want to call it? I said, I want to call it capitalizing on change. Because the word coping is so negative, it's so defeated. Well, I have to cope with it. I can't do anything about it. But I can make the best of this change. Oh, they loved it. And then intentionality. Intentionality has to do with having expectation every day, thinking and acting on purpose and deliberately. You get what you intend to get, out of life. So those are the 10 components for self-management. So remember, self-awareness leads to self-management. Now, others and social awareness. This Alan Freestine is a great guy who was so concerned about others. He owned a company, there was a disaster, and this guy took all his money and paid his employees. They had a fire and the factory burned down. He took his money and paid his employees until the factory was rebuilt and they all came back to work for him. Awareness. And the first is empathy. Empathy is not limited to feeling sorry for people. Empathy has to do with recognizing somebody's need and not just feeling sorry for them, but willing to do something about it. And sometimes it's just being there for a friend. Just being there. You don't even have to say or do anything, but just being there for a friend. Empathy. We ignore people in need so much, and it doesn't cost us to smile, does it? To say hello, to say thank you, can I help you? Do you need help? Do you need a ride? Kind of deal. You're alone in your car and you're driving down the road and this person is walking. I know ladies, you got to be cautious. We men, we got to be cautious too. But the Holy Spirit will guide you and say, that person needs a ride. Recognize and respond. And then situational and organizational awareness. Have you ever walked into a meeting and you can feel the tension in the room? You can feel the tension. You can just look at the faces, and then being aware of who are the go-getters, who are the people who get things done in this organization. That's what that is all about. And then service orientation, having a heart for service, having a heart for service. I'm here to tell you, if you're not providing a good, exceptional service, no matter what you do, you're not going to be in business for long. Service orientation.
Amen to that one.
Yes. You're not going to be, I work for this company, autotrader.com, and one of their values was SOS, simply outrageous service, not just okay service, but outrageous service, going beyond. Those of us who, Jesus said, if a man asks you to go 1 mile, you go 2. Beyond, exceed expectations. Exceed expectations. And I hope today I'm exceeding your expectations. So that's other than social awareness. Now, other than social awareness leads to relationship management. Now think about it for a second. We all in relationships. We all have different levels of relationships. Those of us who are married, we have an intimate relationship with our spouses. Those of us who have children, we have a relationship with our children. And I'm here to tell you, if you have more than one child, the relationship is different levels. Agree? You have your favorite, you're not going to say it, you're not going to admit it, but you do. Like I had what a blessing, what a joy. I got to FaceTime my granddaughter yesterday. She's 11 and she's in Las Vegas. And oh my goodness, it just made my whole week, really, more than a day. So relationship, you're in the supermarket, you're standing next to that cashier for 30, 40 seconds. That's a relationship. You're walking by somebody in the corridor, you nod to them or you don't, that's a relationship. You're in business, when I coach sales people, I tell them selling is relationship. You build good relationships with people. Management is relationship. Being a pastor in a church, it's a relationship with the members of your congregation. Teamwork is a relationship. So great relationships don't just happen. It takes management. And look at the first component. Communication. Communication. And you know what? How this tool defines communication? The first word, listening attentively and fostering open dialogue. Fostering open dialogue. Like those of you might have an introvert on your team. I look for those people and encourage them to speak up. Encourage them to speak up, and then listening. And here's my 5-second effective listening workshop. Look how the Lord designed us. 2 ears, 1 mouth, which is a subtle indication that we should listen twice as much as we speak. Listen. Then interpersonal effectiveness. And this is the diplomatic people. These are the people who, they reach out. They're the first to extend their hand. Hey, how are you? To say hello. How to use these in transaction and business and relationships, engaging people, interpersonal effectiveness, and powerful influencing skills. When you tell somebody to do something, they're going to do exactly what you tell them to do, or just enough. But when you influence them, they're going to do more, and they're going to do it with joy, and it's not a burden. Powerful influencing skills. Then conflict management. Well, if you don't have any conflict in your life, you're not living. Conflict is sometimes we even have conflict with our own selves. Would you agree with that? But it's how we deal with the conflict. Negotiating and resolving disagreement. Don't just let it hang. The longer you leave a situation, the bigger it becomes. The earlier you deal with it, the easier it is to resolve it. Conflict management. Then we have inspirational leadership. These are the people who motivate, who encourage, who recognize, who acknowledge, who give clear instructions that people don't. What are you talking about? No. Who don't surprise their people, who have a clear vision for their company or their organization. And catalyzing change. A catalyst is an instigator. To instigate the change, to start the change, to manage the change, and to lead the change. Building bonds. I would like to think that all of us in this room, this Zoom room, have a friend, at least one close friend that you've known for, oh my God, my best friend, I've known him since we were 11 years old. And today we're still best friends. We talk to each other at least once or twice, 3 times a week kind of deal. I have most of you on this room are my friends. We have a bond. We have a bond, but it takes intention. You got to be nurtured. You got to keep in touch, maintaining that relationship. And you got to be cultivated. Like right now, I'm going to be very transparent with you. There are some of you in this room that I'm now initiating and building that bond, right, Matt? Are you still with us, Matt?
You know it, Lincoln.
Yeah, I met a guy named John Upshaw. He's in the room. I met him, last week, John?
Yeah, we met last week and we just had a conversation about some of the stuff you do.
Yeah, last week. And I feel, we're building a bond. Well, Cece and Amy and Jenny, and, we have a bond. We have a bond. And sometimes we can't even explain it, but maybe it's so spiritual. It's a bond, connecting. We meet a lot of people, but we connect with that's building bonds. And then teamwork and collaboration. Everybody knows that we get more done when we work as a team. But teamwork and collaboration has to start with, people must want to be a team player. Must want to be a team player, working together, having synergy. When teams, look at those of you who watch the NBA, the Bucks seem to have more synergy than the Suns, and that's why they won the game, the championship. More synergy, more together. Not I won the ball. No, share the ball, teamwork. And then coaching and mentoring others. Friends, you don't have to have the title coach or mentor or leader to coach others. I can't tell you how many people I have learned by just observing them, how they behave. I learned from Hartley, he doesn't know this, but I learned from Hartley when he was president of the West Indies JCs. I was just a member, and he visited, the way he spoke, the way he addressed us. I learned from him that way. I've learned from people like that. I learned from my mother. I saw her praying every day. She never told me, Lincoln, you got to pray every day. But I learned from her. Now I'm doing it. From your behavior, 70% of communication is non-verbal. That's why we got to be able to manage our behavior. We want to send positive signals, not negative signals. Coaching and mentoring others. The world needs good, positive coaches and mentors.
So this comes from observation and observing.
Yeah. What's that, Ada?
Oh, I was saying this is probably observing others when you mentioned your mother praying, and she didn't have to tell you to pray, but you observed her praying. And
Yeah.
that became a part of your,
By her example.
right.
And then building trust. I'm here to tell you people, if there is no trust, there is no relationship. If there's no trust, there is no relationship. Trust has to be earned, and it starts with you. You have to be a trustworthy person. I'm sure we all have our, my mantra for trust is, I will trust you until you give me a reason not to trust you, unless you're one of my kids. So those are the 10 components for relationship management. How are these measured? This is just a quick graph. Each one of these components, when you do the assessment, you get a report, is measured from exceptional to cautionary, from 0 to 15. A perfect score in this report would be 390, which is 26 times 15. And I've been doing this since 2013. I've never met a person with a perfect score. And I think the day I meet somebody with a perfect score, I would think I just died and I'm in heaven and I'm doing Jesus Christ, because nobody is perfect, right? So excellent is a score from 13 to 15, strong from 10 to 13, average from 7.5 to 10.5, vulnerable from 4.5 to 7.5, cautionary from 0 to 4.5. So far, I meet very few people who are cautionary in any one component. So if this doesn't provide a benefit, then it's a waste of time. But so there's so much benefit from this. First is the health and wellness benefit. Your personal health and wellness. You know, people with positive emotions get fewer colds and illnesses. When you have positive feelings and emotions, you get fewer colds and illnesses. You have fewer symptoms and suffer less pain when you do fall. I can't remember the last time I had a headache. People have lower risk of chronic disease like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, immune disorders. They live longer. They live longer. And this is from Dr. B. Fredrickson, a distinguished professor, University of North Carolina, and Cohen and Doherty, Psychological Bulletin in 2005. I mean, do we want to have more colds? Do you want to have more symptoms? This will help you. And then people with positive emotions have more satisfying relationships and enjoy more satisfying social networks, a key factor in longevity. Other personal benefits: improved performance and achievement, more creativity and innovative problem solving, better decision making, more flexible thought process, improved memory. Woohoo! Improved memory. Imagine that. And so this social emotion, these competencies are measurable and learnable. And I showed you the measuring stick, but they are learnable. They're best learned through coaching and training. They are ideal when integrated into the organizational culture. And when we talk about the organizational culture, we're not limited in this to business, but in churches, in your homes, in your families, It works. You know, it is a core skill set. It's a skill set grounded in science and proven return on investment, or return on, I like to also add return on expectations. But it starts with an awareness, and that's what the assessment provides, an awareness. You know, when we know ourselves, but when we see something in black and white, it tends to have a bigger impact. So it's a collection of skills. Being aware of what's going on within us. In the moment, that's the key right there, in the moment. Being aware of what might be going on within others and responding with care and consideration. You know, there are some people you talking to them on the phone and they will ask you, how are you? And they can detect by your tone of voice that, and you're saying, oh, everything is okay. But they can be, are you sure? Come on, tell me. They can detect. You don't just ignore it. And then managing ourselves again in the moment, managing our relationship with others. It takes management, people. Things just don't happen. Things just don't happen. It takes management. Here's a quote from Albert Einstein. And you know, he's one of the guys who had the highest IQ in the world, right? Well, here's what he says. Hey, Ada, will you read that for me, please? Oh,
It's gone. Oh,
sorry.
we should take care not to make the intellect our God. It has, of course, powerful muscles, but no personality. It cannot lead. It can only serve.
And you know what? It's a self-serving, not others serving. Self-serving, EQ, our God. Think about when you were in college, all the quote unquote brilliant people, what are they doing now? How are they making a difference in this world? How are they serving their fellow man? How are they caring for one another? It's not all about IQ. It's a combination of IQ and EQ. So finish that statement for me, everybody. Practice makes
Perfect.
perfect. Yeah, and that's what they've been telling us since we were kids.
That's what
Practice makes perfect. But if I'm practicing the wrong way of doing something, man, I'm going to become perfectly
wrong. Perfectly right.
Practice makes permanent. We become what we practice. Now we got to learn to know, am I practicing the right way?
Yeah.
Am I practicing the best way for me? Because practice makes permanent.
Permanent. All right. That's a better word.
So our beliefs would inspire and influence our judgments and the decisions we make. The judgment and decisions we make would inspire the actions we take or not take. For example, you're driving down the road and you're approaching a traffic light. The light is green and you're like about 100 yards. If you believe that that light is not going to change, you're going to continue driving at the same rate of speed. Some of us might speed up, right? We want to catch the green light. If we believe it's going to change, we slow down because we believe. So our beliefs would impact the judgment and decisions we make and the actions we take. The actions we take or not take would impact the results we achieve or not achieve, which would validate what we believe in the first place. So if you're sitting down here saying this social and emotional intelligence, that's not for me, and that you're not going to take any action, you know, you're going to continue where you are today. But if you believe, wow, this is really a great tool, you're going to make a decision to do something about it. You're going to start, living a richer, more productive, more beneficial life, and all the people around you are going to wonder what you're drinking or what you're smoking, because they're going to see the difference in you. You're going to be so much more a happier person, and make the people around you happier. So it's your choice. You all have my contact information. If you'd like to have your profile done, just let me know and we'll take care of it. So let's go out of stop.
You have more math to do than what you did, but you can do it later after lunch.
Okay.
But what you
Any questions, comments?
that we had from before that you didn't do.
Wow, I'm
And we
impressed.
have a copy of this, the recording.
You'll do
Yes,
some after
yes.
lunch.
Anybody, just, I'll send you a copy of the recording, yes.
And I like to go back through it again and to make some notes. It would be great to have the power. Is that PowerPoint?
Yes. I can't share the PowerPoint because,
Shame on you. But thank you.
but you will see it in the recording.
Yes, I will. Thank you very much.
So was this a good time for you?
Yeah.
Are you happy that you joined me today?
Thought it was great, Lincoln. Thank you. Lot of good information. And I feel like I learned something. I had never heard about the ambivert.
Yeah.
Thank you, buddy.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lincoln.
Anybody wrote anything down on their great idea sheet? Hey, Anderson, good to see you. Anybody wrote anything on their great idea sheet? Would you share with us?
Hi, Senator. I did.
Okay, Senator Allison, what did you write down on your great idea?
Let me get it clearly. Be more self-loving and to loving myself more and to do more great things for myself.
All right. Anybody else would like to share what you wrote down on your great idea sheet? I know Matt is going to be more of an ambivert.
Mhm.
All right, Gregory, I see you.
I know. I thought this was a wonderful piece.
I love
presentation.
paper skies.
Yes, Ada? Unmute yourself.
Okay. This was great for me because it brings me back to the years that I kind of sit here and not had really the social interaction because of my husband's need. And just the definitions to be conscious of.
Thank you.
And I liked practice makes permanent, not perfect.
Thank you. Any other?
First session as usual, well presented. Lots of ideas flowing.
Thank you,
Keep it
Senator
up.
Hackey. So as I said, if anybody would like to have your profile done, the process is you send me an email, we arrange, I send you a link, you go online and it's like a 15 to 20 minutes, you answer the questions, I generate the report, then we set up a time for us to debrief the report. That takes about 90 minutes. And then we have follow-up sessions. And I'm going to surprise you by the investment that you have to make. You wouldn't
That
be.
was my question. What is the investment in terms of resources and money?
Okay, for you people who are on this call today, normally the going rate for this, and please keep this confidential. I don't want to get in trouble with the corporation that I'm licensed with. They advise us to charge $300 to $500 per person. For you, because I love you so much, it's $150. And even if you would like to have payments, you can't afford the upfront $150, I will accommodate you. I just want to help you. I just want to bless you. You have blessed me so much today by giving up an hour of your time. So let me know. Okay?
Okay.
Have a great day. Keep
Thank you,
smiling
Lincoln.
and be an ambivert.
Thanks, Lincoln.
Great day to you. Great day to everyone.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
You're
Bye,
welcome.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Bye, everyone. Bye.
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 I can't do it. Who is that? Hey, Eustace.
Lincoln,
How are you, buddy?
I'm doing fine, man. Everything on the level.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, and it was nice to be with you today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wish more of the younger JCs would join this. They need it.
well, I think, with time, we will try and get them there.
Well, all in good time, all in good times.
Sure, man. We'll keep working at this.
Yeah.
Okay, Lincoln. Take care, man. Bye.
Okay, buddy. Hello, Shakira. Shakira, would you unmute yourself?
I'm actually at work, so I'll be listening in.
Oh, well, we just finished actually. It was 11:30 to 12:30, but I saw you, so I wanted to say hi. I'll send you the recording. Okay.
Oh, it was 11:30 your time.
Well, what time is it in Jamaica?
11:35.
Oh, you're 1 hour behind me? I thought we were all on the
Yes,
same
sir.
time now.
No, I didn't realize that.
Well, you've been
Oh.
to the program, you've had your profile done, but I'll send you the link if you want to have a refresher.
Oh God.
Okay?
Yes, thanks.
You're welcome, my dear. Take